Hello, viewers, and welcome to. I'm your host, Josh24214, and today we're going to have a look at game theory FNAF Sister Location once again. Sister Location once again. Oh, God. It's been like, what, 2 months or something since the last one, and boy, did that number reach way high than I originally thought it would. So, Sister Location came out. And yes, I am doing a walkthrough, and I just recorded the fourth night, and I just realized I can't beat the fourth night, so I had to skip it to number 5, the fifth and final night. So I basically did all 3 nights. Then the fourth night, oh god, and Scott, you're evil. You're goddamn evil. So let's not waste any time. So I think I got managed to bits and pieces of the plot. And I have seen, so I know what's kind of going on, so I'm just letting you guys know. I have beaten the game, so it'll be coming out in parts very soon. 2 more parts, and then I'm done with the 5 nights. I know about Custom Night, that's coming out hopefully in December. Unless Scott decides to say, hey, let's just screw that and just come out already, and probably by the time of this video, then boom, it officially comes out. So let us, David, just let me readjust this. So let's see what MatPat has to think about the theories this time around, and I hope you all enjoy. So,
when it gets dark, they will awaken. The children's spirits will rise.
oh god,
They will kill you. I'll just walk out in the morning, stepping over your corpses one by one.
what is that, Scott?
You are intruders.
Coming out of
None
the house?
of you will survive the night. And what makes you think they won't kill you? Because I am one of them.
Oh god. Screw you, Scott! Baby.
Hello, Internet! Well,
No one likes you.
Game Theory. Still available to consult on the FNAF movie's storyline. Seriously, Scott, I'll be waiting by the phone because I can practically guarantee
yeah.
more collective hours of thought into counting animatronic toes, tracking eye colors, listing out the differences between pizzerias, diners, and rental services, parsing out your phone guy calls, and counting and recounting again the number of dead child carcasses left in your story's wake than literally anyone else out there.
Jesus.
I've even gone so far as to do the unthinkable for these sister location videos. That's right, I reread The Silver Eyes. In an ironic twist, it took longer than the actual game. Now,
Wow.
I am piecing together this script after, I kid you not, a weekend spent doing nothing but thinking about these games, writing and rewriting timeline after timeline to account for all the nonsensical Easter eggs shoved into this 4-hour
Jesus
experience.
Christ,
And you
all
know
the Easter eggs.
that I've reached that your version of events isn't satisfying. That any theory I come up with that attempts to bend over backwards and cobble together every line of dialogue, design detail, and
my
character
God.
motivation will be overcomplicated at best and inherently flawed at worst. And that's not me admitting defeat, it's a fundamental problem with the series right now. This one just tried too hard to do too many things. You've got elements of the past 4 games mixed in with FNAF World, mixed in with the book, all of which at this point have questionable canonicities, conflicting storylines, and competing dates. Couple that with characters that mimic other characters that lie to you, and characters that may not even exist across the different story threads of the franchise, and it's unclear if this is a continuation of the books, if it's a continuation of the games, or just an outright reboot of some kind.
Remember that show.
Like a giant human glob you turn into at the end of Inside. A mass of limbs all struggling to work together to move in one direction, but all just flailing out randomly. And honestly, it could have been easy. With Scott saying that the original story was completed with FNAF 4, we could have just said that Sister Location was aligned with the book and FNAF World to start paving the way for the movie. But then you couldn't help yourself, Scott. You just had to throw in those FNAF 4 Easter eggs, huh?
Yeah.
And those put everything into chaos. And it's not just me feeling it. Based on what I'm reading online, a lot of FNAF theorists sense that the lore contained in Sister Location is a game changer, but then they don't exactly know why or what to do with it. Struggling under the weight of explaining away Ennards and babies, Mikes and Williams, casual bongos and exotic butters. What's an Easter egg, what's a tongue-in-cheek reference, and what is actual canon? So understandably, there's some confusion about what's actually
Jesus
going on in
Christ.
this
Yeah.
game. And that is what I'm out to solve in these videos. Picking Sister Location apart to definitively put together which details matter and why this is such a monumental game for the franchise's lore. So go ahead, keep your plots vague and convoluted, Scotty boy. I'm here to translate your madness to the world.
I love that episode.
Historically, the protagonist of Freddy's
Yeah.
games have had a varying degree of importance.
Yeah, that's
There are
one of the
those like Mike
questions
and
that I'm
Fritz who,
having trouble
for all
with.
we can tell, were
Who
just
are
names
we?
with the sole purpose of filling out the "to" line on a paycheck. Sure, they may have been retconned into some importance now, but they were never really intended to be that way. Then there was the crying child of FNAF
Yep.
4, hospitalized and trapped in a waking nightmare. Slightly more important, I would hazard to say. The
Yeah.
game recognizes this as, during your first encounter with the new animatronic baby, she calls out,
It's a strange thing to want to do, to come here. I'm curious what events would lead a person to want to spend their nights in
I thought that was a bit of an
place
in-joke.
willingly. Maybe curiosity, maybe ignorance.
answering the question of who you play as in Sister Location is more important than any of the rest of the games in the franchise, since it practically dictates every other element of this story.
Yeah.
You're there, what the endings mean, what this location stands for, how this fits into the overall timeline. It's a big
Oh,
deal. Now, personally,
who
based on
are
the
we
silhouette
playing?
Here, my first guess is to say that we're playing as Rick Astley, and Scott is just committing the most elaborate Rick roll in history. Just look at that hair. It's an exact match, and let's face it, Scott has proven that he's not above trolling us. But assuming he has a little bit more respect for the fan base than that, there can only be one possible conclusion here. In Sister Location, we play as William Afton. Purple
Wait,
guy.
there's a lot of
And
confusion.
no, I'm not just
to
saying that because the eyes in the ending are purple, like literally everyone else on the internet's been saying.
There's a problem
Sure,
with
it's a
that.
nice
You're gonna have to
detail that
convince
may
me.
hint at Scott's intentions, but it's not proof. For proof, we begin by turning to the in-game dialogue. On your quest to unlock the game's fake ending, the animatronics taunt you with these little bits of dialogue, spoken by a young girl in a British-sounding accent.
I'm still here.
Isn't this why you came here? To be with her again?
So we know that whoever the player is has some sort of connection to this
Yeah,
mysterious
William Afton
girl.
sounded
But who
British.
is she? Well, throughout the game, between nights, we
Yeah, I
hear the
kinda
same
figured
girl
that
pressing
part
her father
out.
to let her play with Baby, saying things like,
Daddy just once let me go play
I
with
already
her.
figured that out,
She's
that
so
that
pretty
the
and
child
shiny.
is William Afton's
Can you
child,
make her just
little
for
girl.
me?
From that small snippet, we can not only tell that our character is her father, but that
Yep.
he's also in some way the creator, or has some level of control over the
Yep,
animatronic.
only
This
William
in turn
Afton.
narrows the field down by quite a bit to two men, William Afton
Mm-hmm.
and Henry, no last name given. The
And
two
Henry.
co-founders of Fazbear Entertainment
Yeah.
was introduced in FNAF Silver Eyes. By the way, low blow, Scott, forcing people to read in order to have any sort of clue as to what's going on in the franchise now? Because seriously, without reading the book, you would have no clue the importance of William Afton. Oh well, that's what I'm
I
here
already
for.
figured that
I'll read
out.
It so you don't have to. Kind of like the nostalgia.
I love that guy.
accent and William Afton's similar dialect at the beginning of the game.
She can dance.
Yeah.
She can sing. She's equipped with a built-in helium tank for inflating balloons right at her fingertips.
Yeah,
It
that's
would
right.
seem as though we have ourselves a match.
You are the father.
Okay.
But let's not be too hasty.
There's a
there,
problem
Maury.
with
We can
that.
Be even more sure. In the game's real ending, you get yourself tricked, becoming animatronic fodder as the machines scoop out your
Yep.
internal organs and replace them with endoskeleton cords. Now, this really bothered me since it's like the antithesis of what we expect from our stories when we beat the game. Here I am wanting to finish my night and return home to my basket of exotic butter, but no, that's reserved for the fake ending. Becoming a flesh suit is somehow canon to the series. I wanted to write it off as jumping the shark, like, hey, we're getting a little bit too absurd right now. But
Yeah.
I realize that this is a franchise built on haunted animatronics chasing you through a pizza restaurant. After they've
Yeah,
been
there's
killed
a
by
problem
serial
with the
killer
William
hiding in a
Afton
mascot suit
theory.
filled with killer
That
strains.
would
crossing the line of
Baby would have
absurdity
recognized
we're long
her,
past it at this
recognized
point. Becoming a
William
flesh suit is an
Afton.
oddly
You're
specific
gonna have to
type of
convince me
hero
on that
reward, and
argument.
yet there it is. So we're left with two options. Scott's either completely lost it at this point, or he has some other plans for this character. And indeed, he does. As the novel once again shows us why this odd story turn is so important. In its pages, we're treated to all sorts of lines that make it clear Mr. Afton is the one who gets himself stuffed. Page 407. Quote, Charlie, there's something different about him. It was as if the guard, the man they had met, had been stripped away, and what sat before them was nothing but a blank canvas. end quote. And again, 2 pages later,
Yeah,
quote,
he did-
Dave, sorry, Dave is the fake name for William Afton in the
Okay,
novel.
just say
He had
William Afton.
Another identity, long story. Anyway, just go with it. Dave's body moved upward, straightening, but the movement was too smooth. He seemed to make no effort, use no muscles, and exert no energy. Dave's eyes opened steadily, glassy and without emotion, like the robots on the stage outside, end quote. And there you have it.
You wrote that in advance, didn't you,
The
Scott?
robots on the stage outside. In fact, the book makes a huge deal about Afton's eyes, over and over again, like when the character
eyes.
John describes seeing Afton kidnap his friends on pages 120 to 122.
Jesus
Quote, the
Christ.
eyes. They were all I could see. They were dead, just dull and flat. Like they still moved and blinked and saw, but whatever was behind them had died a long time ago. End quote.
Jesus
Died a long
Christ.
time ago, you say? Like perhaps in an underground murder bunker, doubling as a robotic distribution center, perhaps. Now, real quick, let's pause here and have some real talk to Ennard, Baby, and the gang. Guys,
Yeah.
we're gonna have a bit of an intervention here. If
Yeah.
your goal is to blend in with the outside world and look like us, look like any other human, choosing to go with the purple eyes is not gonna be helping your cause all that much. Artificial intelligence, more like artificial idiots. Do
Yeah.
your homework. Humans
Sorry,
don't
baby.
tend to have purple eyes. I mean, seriously, you have a blue-eyed animatronic just waiting to go. Look, there's Foxy. He has brown/orange eyes. Great. Anyway, I digress. Who am I to judge? Maybe we're all just left to assume that Afton walks around in those cool colored contacts. Anyway, it's not just the eyes that give away Afton as the animatronic's meat puppet. His overall physicality has undergone a drastic change over the years as well. On page 418, we hear that Afton started off robust and lively, a hefty man who had the ruddy geniality of a financially shrewd Santa Claus.
So he was
Financially
fat.
shrewd Santa Claus, huh? No one said the writing of this book was any good. There's clearly a reason why only 500 people made it all the way through this book. And I say that because on Amazon Kindle, they actually show you the most popular highlighted sections, and like, they all drop off by midway through the book, so I can only assume that I'm the only person who made it all the way through. The things I do for you. Anyway, soon after, our financially shrewd Santa Claus is accused of murder. He's released due to no bodies being found, and then he skips town. However, when he comes back, he's a changed person. Quote, Afton had been fat and affable. The man in the picture was sallow and thin, his skin sagging, and his expression unpleasant, as if he had forgotten how to smile. He looked like a poor facsimile of himself. End quote. So when he comes back to town, he's not only lost a ton of weight, but he looks like a poor copy of himself? So that's us reading the subtext of these lines, but you don't even have to read between those lines. Afton tells us directly in the quote I used at the top of this episode.
Oh, yeah.
Quote, and what makes you think they won't kill you? John said again. Because I'm one of them, he said. I mean, let's face it is hard to argue
It's
with that
Baby
one. He is
in
outright
there.
saying he is an animatronic. Reading the book the first time, you all
Oh my God,
he has a
Scott,
kindred
you're
spirit
evil.
with these animatronics because he loves them so much and he dresses as one and this and that. But oh no, after playing Sister Location, it takes on a whole new meaning. Now, there are two major complaints against the Afton theory. One,
Yeah.
that Baby's first lines are,
I don't recognize
Yeah,
you.
that's
You are
my
new.
biggest
and
argument
two,
in
that
this.
none of it makes sense if Afton bleeds out in Springtrap and
Yeah, oh yeah, that's right. That's also a contradiction. How do you going to fix this?
World ending, where Desk Guy, who in our last episode
That
we
was
established
mine.
as Henry,
Henry.
no last name given, William Afton's partner in the Freddy Fazbear's franchise, confesses to building Baby. He's the creator, the one Baby would be most familiar with, and not necessarily Afton. So Baby not recognizing Afton isn't all that much of a stretch. And regarding Purple Guy's death, we see in the book that William is covered in scars. Scars left over from surviving one major round of Springtrap failures. Quote, Dave had been shirtless under the costume, and now his bare chest was clearly visible. His skin was horribly scarred, with raised white lines that scored his flesh in a symmetrical pattern, each side of his body mirroring the other. He raised his arms and turned slowly in a circle, giving Carlton ample time to see that the scars were everywhere. Also note that we never actually see Springtrap die in FNAF 3.
Yeah.
Just collapse into his own pool of blood and shiver there. The light never drains from his eyes. And Silver Eyes shows that it's not only possible, but that William has indeed survived a Springlock failure in the past. So could the FNAF 3 incident be the reason he has all those scars in the book? Absolutely. Also, according to the timelines, the events line up. All of the events of Silver Eyes take place in 1995, placing him it long after any events that we've seen in the games thus far, with the exception of Fazbear's Fright, which may have been a hallucinogenic dream sequence anyway. So all in all, cool story, bro. We play as Purple Guy in Sister Location.
Now,
Thank you for selecting Casual Bongos.
But why? What does all this mean for the plot of the game?
Yeah.
It actually explains a lot, but from here it also tends to get really complicated.
Oh,
Because
boy.
now we're dipping into the FNAF 4 surveillance footage, FNAF
Yep.
4 locations being tied
Yep.
to Sister Location, child experimentation, and the
Yeah.
identities of Baby and Ennard. So instead of
Yeah.
rushing my way through it to get it all
Oh,
done in
God
time,
damn it.
I'm gonna pause right here and hold all those explanations for the next episode.
God
Now that we
damn
know
it.
Who is playing the game, we need to know why and how it affects the rest of the series as we know it. So click that basket of exotic butter to subscribe and be informed of when the next half of this theory comes out. And in the meantime,
God
listen to these
damn
casual
it.
bongos and do me a favor and vote. Sister Location, yay or nay? Was this the game that you were waiting for, or did it end up under-delivering? Click on one to choose, and I'll let you know next
It's
time.
more of a
All
yay
voted. And
for
in
me.
the meantime,
It was okay.
remember,
It was
it's
okay.
all just a theory. A game!
Hey.
Thanks for watching.
Well, that was interesting to get through. So yeah, Matt had addressed the two big contradictions to the William Afton twist. Okay, willing, good argument. That you just had to show me the contradiction, and I was wrong. So we do play as William Afton, and the daughter, the little girl that gets killed by Baby, is William Afton's daughter. So there's a lot more to get through with the FNAF 4 connections. What's his connection to the crying child from FNAF 4? Hopefully that's going to be find out very, very soon. So until then, next time when we come back, we'll continue on our FNAF sister location theory. So until then, have a good day, everybody. And man, that is crazy.